The world is in its critical development point. The world is to embrace the fourth industrial revolution, following the positive changes of the negative changes. For example, the development of environmental changes and changes in religion. In order to fulfill the need for meat but at the same time lower the cost and harm it does to the planet is why lab-grown meat is found and developing. The first lab-grown meat burger was made in the United Kingdom in London 2013, but it costed a skyrocketing amount of money, $300,000, and it took more than 2 years to make. The difference from lab-grown meat and normal meat is the lab-grown meat contains no slaughtering of animals, and it can reduce the amount of space and resources it takes up to raise up normal livestock. On the surface, it does not feel like there's anything bad about this, but once we look deeper, there can be negative effects. If lab-grown meat is considered vegan, is one problem. Another problem is there can be branches of opinion agreeing or disagreeing on this invention, whether it's humane enough or is it still counted as meat. The first lab-grown meat was made in a Dutch institute in London. Global warming started in the 1830s and have been increasing since. The peak of climate change and global warming is estimated to be around 2030. Due to the fact that countries are at their crucial development state, with the increase of human population, the need of meat has also expectedly increased. Therefore, the need of land increased. Where are industries going to be able to obtain huge amounts of land? The answer is rainforest. Farm and other related industries are going to start cutting down enormous amount of trees, adding to climate change, which is already bad, making it worse. It will also bring other side effects, like rise of ocean levels and many other factors. This was when lab-grown meat is introduced to make and solve this long-term problem. This will cause a huge impact on the next generation if we don't fix it. Lab-grown meat is meant to minimize the requirements of land, use less water, and produce less pollution. This is positive because then there is fewer need of livestock and we will be able to save important resources. However, the lab-grown meat production makes a lot of methane, carbon dioxide, and nutritious gas, also called greenhouse gas, that contribute to the global warming. Design of lab-grown meat. Following the start of lab-grown meat, not only was there scientists contributing to the creation of lab-grown meat, it also had modern and key technology. Without modern key technology, none of lab-grown meat would be possible. Some of these are scaffolds. Scaffolding can be considered as using materials such as 3D printing, additive manufacturing, electrospinning, or electrosimulation, and much more. They are used to turn a slur of cells into meat products. In order to make lab-grown meat a possible thing, there also has to be restrictions and rules about this new technology. In 2019, the FDA and USDA/FSIS agreed to establish a joint regulatory framework for human food made from cultured cells of livestock and poultry to help ensure that any products brought to the market are safe and truthfully labeled. The FDA is responsible for protecting the public health by ensuring the safety, efficiency, and security of human and vegetarian drugs, biological products, and medical device, whereas the USDA/FSIS protects the public's health by ensuring the safety of the meat, poultry, and egg products, making sure that no harm would be done after eating. FSIS is part of science-based national system to ensure food safety and food defense. Lab-grown meat was designed by William Van Ellen in the 1950s. Dutch researcher independently came up with this idea for cultured meat. As a prisoner during World War II, Van Ellen suffered from starvation, leading him to be passionate about food product. As mentioned before, we will dive deeper now to the positive effects of lab-grown meat on humans and animals. First of all, lab-grown meat requires few to none antibiotics. Traditional livestock need to be given antibiotics to keep them healthy. This can lead to antibiotic resistance on humans, where the drugs don't work as well as on infections as they once did. One more important thing is that lab-grown meat can save up huge amounts of land that is in use or getting ready for use, like the plains we use to keep sheep and cows so they can graze. Lab-grown meat will lead the lab for us to do something more important, like building houses or solar/wind panels for energy, which has much more value. But only when lab-grown meat is possible, this will be possible. A negative aspect of lab-grown meat is there could be a shift in the food chain. Due to once millions of farm animals are set free, competition between wild and farm animals will have a negative effect on the food chain because there's so many food for the predators. The predator population will increase by huge amounts, therefore imbalancing the food chain in the end, leaving no prey for the predators. Once lab-grown meat is introduced to the world, there will be a great shift in big companies producing machinery for regular meat and preparation of regular meat. When this shift happens, these effects will clearly be shown on the factory workers that worked in factories which produce and process meat. This will affect their income and what they have to do as a job transfer, depending on what they work on. They might be able to get new jobs and they might not. This is an unintended consequence because when making lab-grown meat, the creator did not decide it was fun to spend a lot of money and time to make people lose their jobs. They did this to change the environment and help people eat luxurious food without hurting wildlife. I think this is a positive side for the workers because workers are forced to work at high speeds in cold conditions, doing thousands of same repetition movements over and over with few breaks. This process feeds an average American who eats about 200 pounds meat a year, making workers work at furious pace and cause a lot of chronic physical ailments called musculoskeletal disorders, or MSDs, an array of injuries to workers' muscle, tendons, ligaments, nerves that cause spine strains and inflammation. With lab-grown meat, these workers can be free from this torturous job and move on as working as farmers or food packagers, which is easy because there are machineries that can take care of planting seeds and packing food. People who work as meat butchers have low to none education history, and as a farmer, they just have to look after these machines, but still earn money at the same time. They can transfer to food packaging because even though it's still processing stuff, the workload and pressure will be lower by a large percent, allowing them a steady income, at the same time help them stable their health. Community 2. A major reason lab-grown meat was created was to tackle global warming, helping animals both in and out of farms. This is a positive effect on animals because lab-grown meat can save a huge amount of land that's already in use or getting ready for use, like the plains we use to keep sheep and cows so they can graze. Lab-grown meat will leave the land for us to do something more important, like building solar or wind panels for energy, which has much more value once lab-grown meat is possible. This will help animals because it will lower global warming, helping animals stay alive in a cooler environment. Another environment lab-grown meat can affect is like rainforests or just forests. Because without needing more space for animals to graze or keep, we are able to stop people from cutting down the trees that will keep the homes of animals free for them to live in. This will also be able to play a role in preventing global warming, which will affect both on land and in water animals, according to Wikipedia.org article on environmental impact of meat production. Ways that lab-grown meat change farm animals' lives are over 70 billion farm animals are farmed around the world per year, and approximately 50 billion of them are factory farmed. These animals are treated more like cogs in a machine than living, breathing, feeling animals. They endure short, miserable lives and often crammed together in cages, crates, or pens where they are unable to engage in nature behavior. Many animals are selected to breed fast and grow fast. Lameness, weakened or broken bone, infection, and organ failure are all of commonplace. Clean meat has the potential to end suffering of 1 billion farm animals every year, according to World Animal Protection article on lab-grown meat will be better. This is an intended consequence because lab-grown meat is here to create a better environment for humans and animals. And the main point of lab-grown meat is so that it can reduce global warming, helping humans and animals live in a better environment that suits us. So this is an intended positive change. Community 3. Religions. Whenever creating an object connecting to food, religions around the world will have their own perspectives on it. Thoughts on if the new invention is good for the environment, if it follows their belief, or if it's going to change how humans do things as a whole, and if it follows the way of the God. An invention like lab-grown meat will shake up the world and may change our food source forever. One way lab-grown meat affect religions is because they think lab-grown meat is not vegetarian enough. They think that fake meat is disrespectful to God since it cannot be considered vegetarian, so it cannot be eaten. One say that it wasn't automatically kosher because it wasn't from a real animal. This could be a model test tube meat, but he said that if the stem cells are real meat, they have to come from a cow slaughtered according to kosher law, saying the animal's throat must be slit while it's still conscious, according to genetic literacy project. How will religion's authorities deal with lab-grown meat? Other religions say that from a Hindu perspective, using animal cells to make meat constitutes an example of human ignorance. This is Shunaka Rishidas, a Hindu priest and a director of Oxford Center of Hindu Studies. Rishi Das explained that Hindus, most of whom abstain from meat, do not subscribe to the Western principle of domain over non-human beings. Even if animals are not killed, he says, humans are still asserting that it sells to their use. In conclusion, I think these are unintended consequences because when lab-grown meat was created, the creators had not acknowledged what religions would have thought about this invention and what the reactions would be. Even though there has been debate about this topic, it does not affect the growth of lab-grown meat, therefore making it an unintended consequence. Last, we will be talking about the conclusion. Lab-grown meat prevents and spares farm animals from a life of torture and allows them to live in freedom and in their own environment without restrictions from humans. Not only is this beneficial to animals and the environment, but it also has positive effects on humans, for example, reducing and saving water from going to animals instead of humans, more land for both animals and humans, keeping the resources for the two kinds to share, and keeping the world in a balanced state and a peaceful state, allowing both species and types of animals to grow and develop without conflict, putting the world in danger because lab-grown meat can reduce the amount of greenhouse gas real meat creates.